What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Kicked in the Ass podcast. Figured I'd switch it up a little bit today. Got my Jim Jones glasses on for whoever is not well versed on that. He was a cult leader, like I think back in the 80s or something, that made everybody drink a bunch of. He told them that if you drink a bunch of Kool-Aid, you go to heaven if you kill yourself. So pretty much he put cyanide in Kool-Aid and killed like a couple hundred people. But I know that's grim and brutal, but that's life, I guess. A lot of stuff has been going on, but I just wanted to give. I don't know if anybody else in the world watches Hot Ones. It's pretty much like an interview show with celebrities. Great show that they interview people, celebrities and stuff about what they do and stuff like that, and they eat hot wings and they go through different levels of sauces and stuff like that, and it's like I don't know how much further we can go as humans with hot sauce, like they got stuff like El Diablo and nuclear bomb. Like there's people that hybrid breed peppers in order for them to be hotter, and what makes peppers hot is capsaicin that's inside the peppers. That's what makes it spicy. And it's like I never understood like why people like spicy food. To me, it's like, why do you want to suffer while you're eating? Like I love the flavor of things, not to just be in pain. Well, I mean, like I don't understand. It's like, yeah, man, I got this new hot sauce. It's called the Fear of God. It's like, all right, Jim, hell yeah, let's eat that. No, me, no, I'm good, bro. Um, yeah, just over this past week, I've had quite a few uh, revelations, and just thinking, going through the past of things that I've been through, and so when I was a kid, uh, probably 10 or 11 years old, my parents got divorced because my dad cheated on my mom and went to South Florida with a new woman and had her pregnant before the divorce was even finalized. And so we went to South Florida. Anyway, we were living in this house, and uh, my stepmom was friends with her ex-husband's new wife. Yeah, it's fucking crazy as that sounds. Um, so altogether, with me and my brother, I think there was like 7 other kids, so that made 9 kids in one house. Excuse me. And yeah, so it was full. Like every time you ate, like you felt like you were going for prison rations. It's like, oh, come, and she couldn't cook for shit, so it was, oh, come get your rations. That's what I felt like I was getting was fucking rations. And I never forget one time she made like grilled cheese with Cheez-Its and mac and cheese. That's no exaggeration, but I don't know, man. It seems like every day that I woke up, like I heard the Jurassic Park theme, just like like what kind of wild shit is gonna happen today? Like, what are we gonna go through? But I don't know, man. Like today in society, I think there's a lot of people that are just afraid of the truth, and it's culminated all together um, with people's beliefs and their political affiliations, that they align themselves to be afraid because they're afraid of judgment. They're afraid of public shaming because that's the new thing, is to cancel and cancel culture for other people. For myself, I don't really give a shit. I mean, even if this podcast gets big, and I go on a public platform and they search up my first few videos and they're like, oh my God, he said this and he said that and he's a transphobe. And, like, no, I'm not. It's just, I have my opinions and I stand firm on them. Um, and I believe something that's an institution that needs to be reinvoked in today's society, is to not be afraid of the truth, to not be afraid to speak the truth first and foremost. Um, like I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast. They had Dr. Jordan Peterson on there, and he was saying how in Canada he's going on trial to be re-educated on what he is allowed to speak. If that doesn't sound like Nazi Germany, like I don't know what does. Re-education, because somebody differed from your insane, crazy ideologies. And what he was speaking out about was how these people that are doing this gender affirming care and all this other bullshit are literally mutilating children in the name of them feeling like, well, I'm doing the good thing for society, I'm doing the correct thing for society, because of public opinion. And people do that out of the fear of public opinion. That is how sheer and how drastic it is to some people, which is just like unfathomable to me. Um, and what breaks my heart is to see these children by their own parents' hand be the sacrificial lamb. And later on in life, they lie to these kids and they say, oh, we'll give you puberty blockers, which is literally medicine for pedophiles to chemically castrate them. And they say, well, we're just going to give you puberty blockers and you'll go through puberty later. There's no such thing as a delay of puberty. You either have it or you don't. So not only are they mutilated through surgery, cutting off their genitals and all this other stuff, they're also, they can't properly develop. And to me, it is beyond evil. It is unfathomable to me. I can't really I'll never understand it because I don't have that capacity within my heart. And not only that, on a public level, the crazy things that we're going through, but just at a basic level. I mean, growing up, I can't tell you how many families I learned about, and people in my own family, of women that had been sexually assaulted by people they were related to or other people and adults while they were children. And it's like, in my eyes, if you harbor and protect a pedophile, you are as guilty as that pedophile, in my eyes. And shame on you for doing so. And in my eyes, a pedophile is less than a human. Um, it may sound a little extreme, but I really don't care. I'm gonna speak the truth. I mean, honestly, I believe they should be tortured and fed to dogs. That's just my opinion. They're subhuman scum of the earth, and for somebody to say, oh, well, we got to keep the family together. Like, what family are you keeping together? So you're attending to evil is what you're doing. You're invoking them. You're letting them continue on, because if, say, a family member messes with a little girl in your family and there was no repercussions, who's to say that he's not going to go out and repeat again? It's highly, highly likely. And to me, that is the atrocity that is committed by that. And it's a shame. But like there was a story of a guy. I think his name was the Alaskan. It was his nickname. His alias was the Alaskan Avenger, and he went out with a hammer and literally bashed in the skulls of pedophiles, because he was molested himself when he was a child, which I think is awesome. good for that guy. And of course, you know, he went to prison for it because of murder and all that. And I know that sounds like a brash concept to a lot of people, and you know, killing a person is not great. But when it comes to a pedophile, like, just throw him into the wood chipper. That's the best thing that can happen for him. If you don't agree with me, then fuck you. I don't really care. But you know, today too, there's so many people, and with all the stuff that is in food and beverages, these chemicals that alter our minds and make us into, they cause this hailstorm of emotions that we don't even realize. Like, what you know, the old saying of, you know, you are what you eat, and that's a fact. You are what you eat, and it causes a level of doubt within people because they don't have the self confidence, because all these things are manifesting. You go through anxiety and depression and things like that. And I myself am one of those people. And I'm here to tell you, you know, fuck the doubt. Just run through it and kick some ass. And, and you'll never be stopped. Just these situations that you run into, and think about how many sacrificial lambs of that your ideas have been, that your passions, your dreams have been, because somebody called you fat. Somebody said, which, not to get on the whole, like, train of saying that it's okay to be morbidly obese. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, um, you know, things that people do in these mental scars that are instilled at an early age. Um, Run through that shit. Break through it. Do what you are destined to do by God and by yourself. Um, and honestly, you know, speaking of doubt, and even with people, like when you meet people, there's a certain level of respect that you give people that you don't even have to say a word about. Um, some things are irrefutable. You know, sometimes you look at a person and you know this guy, he means fucking business. And there's just a certain level of respect. In my eyes, anyway, when I meet somebody, I can just, it's like a sense, I guess, a sixth sense. It's a feeling of certain respect that you give people no matter what. And I think that has, you know, in Scarface, the famous line, you know, the eyes don't lie, Chico. That's a fact. You know, the eyes of somebody, they could tell you a lot about that person. And honestly, reacting off of gut instinct, and don't be afraid of that. You know, a lot of people like to second guess themselves, and you know that stems from anxiety and depression. And honestly, 95% of the time, my gut has been right. When I meet somebody and I shake their hand and I introduce myself and I get that first, like, guttural feeling of, like, this is not a good dude or this is a great guy. And me personally, you know, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt before they prove me wrong. And I think that's the best way to go about with people, because sometimes I've been wrong. You know, I'm not perfect. I'm a human. And I've met people and I'm like, yeah, this dude's a fucking dirtbag, and turned out to be a great guy. Um, you know, and like into the body shaming stuff and all that, it's like such a culmination of all these things, and like these mental illnesses that have people have used like shields to just enable themselves to do whatever the fuck they want. Like, you know, you go in Walmart, not only do you see sea of people that are just consumed with themselves and don't have any idea about what's going on around them, like I've spoke about in previous episodes, but you have these fucking beluga whales that get on these scooters and ride them around Walmart. You know, it's like, well, if you would practice walking and, you know, get a little bit of more of that in your fucking life, you probably wouldn't need the scooter, you know. But instead of the old man or the old woman that needs these things in order to go grocery shopping, you take that away from them because you're too lazy to walk. And to me, that's disgusting. But you know, and sometimes I look around, you know, like, is there a video camera anywhere? Like, is this fucking real life? And it's like I said before, you know, every day it's like a new historical event. It's like, well, what's going to happen now? You know, you don't know. But yeah, like talking about South Florida and everything. I had this, I think it was a social studies teacher, if I'm not mistaken, but she was a fucking cuckoo bird, like big time. And I remember her telling us, we had some, like, she managed to watch some video about animals and stuff, and she pleaded this case how, like, dogs don't have feelings. And it's how blatantly blind can you be? Like my dogs, whenever they do something wrong, they know they did wrong. Whenever they chew up a shoe or whatever, shit on the floor, whatever it may be, have an accident in the house. Uh, you know, look at me, and his ears are all tucked in. And this dog is, I mean, Harrison, he's 140 pounds, purebred German Shepherd. And, you know, if he had the will to do it, could fuck my world up and a lot of different people's worlds up. And, you know, was scared to death because, you know, he did wrong. So you're telling me that's not evidence of, like, you know, people or dogs, you know, they have feelings. And I saw this video of this study that these people did, and they kind of like put like this weird science like device on their heads that had all these wires hooked up, and they were showing the dog. It was in like a CAT scan or an MRI image machine, and they were showing dogs images of just random things, and it would show the outwave and the reaction of their brain towards certain images. And they were trying to prove that whenever they see their owners, they really do get excited. They love you, and they don't see it as just a source of food. You know, they see you as they love you. And so they were showing these dogs like pictures of different animals, different people, and then they showed them a picture of their owner, and it was like fireworks. And it was like, man, I didn't even need that study to know that, but just the fact that there's further scientific proof of it is absolutely awesome. I've decided to adapt. I've had this Mac desktop computer. I just need to set it up, and I've decided to integrate it into the podcast because, like, whenever I have a question about a topic or something, you know, I want to be able to research it or play a video and you guys hear the audio because I don't want to have to, like, you know, turn the screen around and all that shit to get on the video because I don't have a curator. I mean, obviously it's a small podcast, so I do everything myself, write down the material. And like I said before, I try to keep it, I want it to be authentic and not curated. And I just, like, throughout the week, I'll write down, like, ideas and topics or quotes or little snippets of information that hopefully by the time I record it that I remember so that I can, you know, speak with it to you guys. And honestly, that's, I know sometimes like I may be brash and, you know, use bad language and stuff like that, but between I couldn't really say my upbringing, but between my line of work and the military and every industry that I've been into, it's not an excuse, but like I got a bad mouth. I agree with that, but I'm sorry, you know, for whoever's listening and they don't like my language, but I want it to be authentic. I don't want it to be something that's like practiced or some kind of play or show that I put on for people. This is me. I sit down, I record, and I let it flow. That's what I want it to be. I don't want it to be some kind of, you know, just looking like a puppet on strings. But Anyway, I wanted to discuss the. I have a. I have no judgment or passing about church, but um, there's one beef that I do have with these mega churches. And I don't think there's anything that has been as well eloquated and dramatically put as like the Righteous Gemstones show about mega churches. But like I just watched that show, finished that show a couple weeks ago. I binge watched it. But anyway, um, it just doesn't sit right with my spirit that these people, and most importantly these pastors, go on these TV shows and they ask for money, like, donate in the name of the Lord, and use the name of the Lord to personally profit for themselves. And to me, that is another pure form of evil. And there's people that are just good-hearted, but as good-hearted as they are also as equally naive. And they'll say, yeah, I'm going to do the right thing. They feel like they're doing the right thing, and they donate their last dollars to these assholes sitting in these churches that are coming in there in $3,000 Gucci suits and brand new shoes, rolling up in their Rolls Royce to their mega church to profit off of you. And to me, that is one of the most disgusting things that I've seen within our lifetime. And just a few examples, like the megachurch preacher Jesse Duplantis. This fuck says, he's at the forefront of my mind, and there's a video that I saw of him about speaking about his mansion. Now, this is during a sermon, during church. There's people watching him on TV, and there's thousands of people that are present at this sermon. And this guy, he says, I got a mansion. It's called the La Maison de la Vie. And it's 40,000 square feet, and it's the largest mansion in the state of Louisiana. Like, are you kidding me? We're not here to listen to your bullshit about what your life is and what you fucking have. We don't care. Your mission should be to preach the word of God, to spread the message of the love of Christ, not about your personal achievements, robbing it off the back of poor people. And the first thing that comes to my mind is like, which I don't know, some of you may have seen the original cartoon of Robin Hood by Disney. It's with the wolf and the bear. It's real old school. I think it came out early 60s. Anyway, there's a scene in that movie where the wolf, the tax man, comes along, and this little rabbit, he was having his birthday party, and his family gave him one gold coin for his birthday. That's all they had to give him. And the tax man comes along, and he says, nope, I gotta have that. Well, you're short. Well, we gotta collect our taxes. And to me, that was just a vivid illustration of people like him, the government, and other people that steal off of the little man's back. And it's, again, one of the purest forms of evil in this world. And another one like Kenneth Copeland, who I think it was like a Dateline NBC reporter that came up to him at the airport. He was just fresh off of his private jet, getting picked up by his limo, talking about, asking him about, well, how do you afford this private jet? And spitting facts to him about his lifestyle. And, you could just see the shallowness and the evil in his eyes. And to me, that was very telling. It's literally like the Bible describes, like a wolf in sheep's clothing, and they're right in front of your face in every facet of this world, from your job all the way to these megachurch preachers, all the way to the government. And something that corresponds with that, the main reason why it pisses me off is because there's people out there that live in doubt, number one. Number two, there's people that have never been introduced to Christ or Christianity at all. And their first experience with it is you bragging on TV about how you got all this mansion that's 40,000 square feet. And like Jesse Duplantis said, well, Jesus isn't coming back because people aren't giving enough. To me, that is the walking verbal form of blasphemy. It is one of the ugliest atrocities I've seen on camera, and that's my issue with some smaller churches. Not every small church, but these small town little churches that you can, when you walk in, you feel the judgment. That building is not anointed with the Holy Spirit. It is people, a culmination of people that are there to go through the motions. And it is people that judge you based on the clothing that you wear to that building, based on what you drive to that building. And gossip and rumors started in the house of God. And that is the first interaction that somebody that is lost, that needs help, and wants to come to God, that's the first thing that they experience because of you. And I'm not perfect at all. But all I'm saying is there's a great need for reformity for that. And I can't remember like that mega church guy that was in Texas in a major, I think it was when Hurricane Michael came through. I was up here pipelining, but Hurricane Michael came through, and it devastated some communities in Texas. And that, praise the Lord, mega church preacher decided to lock his doors when people were trying to come there for refuge. Excuse me, that was my boy Mac, my dog. But it just goes to say, and I'm not sure where this quote comes from, but there are none such blind as those who will not see. And that's applicable in many facets of life. People that deny and people that refuse to see the truth in the things that they do and things that others do. Like I said, pedophiles, you got to keep the family together, so they deny these blatant sins and the things that have transpired in the past in order to keep the family together out of love, and because they refuse to see. Same thing with people that follow this cyclical nature of, we just got to go through the motions, go to church, wear your best, shine the car up and go there. That's not what it's about. It's a relationship. That's first and foremost, a relationship. And honestly, I am honored to say that, I had a person reach out to me and tell me that they were touched by some of the things that I have said on my podcast about the Lord and stuff like that. And that's what they needed to hear. And I can't tell you how much, for that statement alone, I will continue to do what I'm doing, just because I know that it had a positive effect on somebody. And I'm not perfect. The things I say on here aren't perfect. The way I do it isn't perfect, and I know people will have negative things to say. Well, this guy cusses his ass off, but he'll sit there and talk to the Lord. Well, Jesus sat with the sinners. That's the first table he would sit at. And I'm not perfect. I'm trying to be better. But I think it takes a lifetime and some. We will never be like Christ because Christ was perfect, but it takes a lifetime to even get a tenth of what he was like. And I'm trying, and I'm trying to be better, but I'm letting my thoughts and what comes from my heart flow. And the way that comes out sometimes may not be perfect, but it's not for everybody. You don't like it, turn it off. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. And honestly, the one of the more powerful statements in the Bible to me is the power of life and death lies in the tongue. And that's a fact. You know, people, a lot of people talk about manifestation. And I mean, there's multiple things that can be interpreted different ways in the Bible. But that statement right there tells me that scripture tells me that you have to be careful about what you say. You have to be careful about things that you speak about. If you're constantly spewing negative things, if you're constantly saying, I'm a loser, I'm never going anywhere, I'm just going to fail, I'm not going to be this person, I'll never succeed, then that's where you'll be. But if you start this cycle of positive things, of, God loves me, I'll have this, and start smelling the roses, like I said before, pausing and seeing the brighter things in the world, it has a positive effect. And the more brash way to think of that is like, if you're ever in a situation where things are hostile and the next thing you say could end your life because somebody's got a gun to your head, that statement rings even more true. And I just think your thought process, which is hard to control, nobody has 100% control of their thoughts, but getting on a pattern, getting in a habit of seeing the brighter side of things is never a bad thing. Whether you're a Christian or not, or believe in Jesus or not, that is a good habit to adapt. And I encourage everybody to do that. But like throughout the week and stuff, every day, you go through the motions, go through the flow. And, like I said before, I've been trying to I have been changing my diet and been on a really heavily meat-based diet. And the cognition, ability, and the ability to think, energy levels have been awesome. But I don't know, like, I've never been a everyday coffee drinker. To me, coffee's like a when I feel like it occasion. But like I said before in the last podcast, like, people make certain things their whole personality. I think that goes to be said about coffee too. Like, yeah, man, I only drink black coffee, because I'm a man. Like, fuck you, dude. Like, I'm sorry I don't want to drink, burnt cigarette water. Uh, I like creamer in my coffee. I like my shit to taste good. It's like fruity drinks and stuff. Like, the only thing that I drink on the rocks is a fine scotch or a fine bourbon. That's it. Other than that, like, hell yeah, dude. Hand me that pina colada, or hand me that margarita, hand me the mojito. Yeah, it's good stuff. And you're lying to yourself saying it's not. Like, yeah, go ahead and drink your, shitty dog butthole IPA brewed, in a cask of a basement. Like, keep that shit. I don't want it. But speaking of atrocities and assholes, this shit with the Olympics, man, is insane. In the opening, excuse me, in the opening ceremony, there was a huge controversy about this Last Supper scene. And then these apologists and people came out with, well, it's about this Greek mythology, about, these lathing parties and, people getting drunk and things like that. Here's my issue with it. This is not the first time that Christ has been mocked. Doesn't mean I agree with it, but it's not the first time. And I'm not going to burn my house down or somebody else's house down over it, but I won't watch the Olympics, I'll tell you that, for multiple reasons. But then, after they deny it, then ESPN comes out with a statement saying that they apologize, and the Olympic Committee and the people that organize such things apologize for the representation of the Last Supper. And to me, it wasn't even that. It's not that I'm not offended by somebody mocking Christ, but the thing that was the most atrocious to me, even if you aren't religious or aren't a Christian, there was child actors in this opening ceremony with people sexualizing it. These trannies and these men dressing up like women, and there was a picture of a dude with his nutsack out. A grown-ass man standing next to a child with his nuts out. So what's your excuse for that? How is that not wrong? I don't care what you think it is. I don't care if it's this Greek mythology, this representation of Greek mythology in this big party. I don't agree with that. Keep the children out of the picture. There was child actors that were involved in that. And on top of that, we had, which I don't know how true it is for the women swimming, but I guess some other female, these males that identify as females, that they're like in these tight speedos with their nuts, and you see their nuts and dong, and they're like, yeah, I'm a woman, going out and just blowing these bitches out of the water. And I think it was like I saw a picture of it. I'm not, like I said, I don't know if it's true, but it was like first through 20th place. The guy held every record for women swimming in that specific event. But what I do know is true is there was a boxing match between I believe it was a man in Argentina, and it was a female, an actual female, Angela Carini, an Italian boxer. There was a match between it. Only lasted 46 seconds because they let this woman compete against Angela, and they boxed, and in order to prevent further injury to herself, because she's competing against a man, decided to back out, and she fell to her knees and wept, because, I mean, can you imagine working your entire life training? You go through these egregious camps, cut weight, and you're in the Olympic events, something that used to have credit to it. It doesn't mean now, but something that had credit to it. And they put a man up against you, and you get decimated because there's a stark difference. Like, I'm all about power to the women. Absolutely. I have 2 daughters. I have a beautiful wife. My mom raised me. I'm all about it. But just facts. There's a difference physically between men and women. And for the Olympic Committee to allow this man to beat on a woman to celebrate this cultural appropriation is just a representation to me of just how far fucking gone these people are with this woke bullshit around the world. And it's not only in America. That wasn't America's fault. That was the Olympic Committee that let this happen. And if it were me, if I was a female boxing, I don't give a shit who my next opponent is. I'm withdrawing, just for the mere fact that even happened. But I mean, I am um, a man of principle. And, you know, to me, if that's not enough, like if the mocking of the Last Supper is not enough, is a man beating a woman, is that not enough for you to say something or think differently of these Olympics? You know, I'm not one to try to influence people one way or the other. You know, you make your own decisions. It's the United States of America. You think and speak the way you like. But um, morally, it doesn't set right with me. And to me, like these trans athletes, especially men that go into women's sports, like, you know, there's just these bitch ass men that are just too weak to compete against top males. And in my eyes, it makes them even weaker, just so that they can go dominate in a women's sport because they can. Because you were too weak to go against your top competition, so now you're going to be the top. That would be like me, a grown ass, 6 foot, 240 pound man, going to an elementary school and entering the dodgeball competition. I'm going to wipe them motherfuckers out. I mean, it's going to be a fucking massacre. That, I mean, that's the only comparison I could really think about. But also saw I haven't really dug into it, and it's not a lack of respect to anybody or any community or whatever. Um, but something that I found that was really disgusting was the Sonia Massey shooting. Um, my thoughts are, especially with, like, you know, we've had these movements of defund the police. To me, that's not the answer. Unfortunately, you know, sometimes you give little men a big badge and a gun, and they abuse their power and have no idea what life altering and ending decisions that they make, all the way from an arrest to them shooting somebody. Um, I believe there's some people, there's a few, and these cops that make these terrible decisions, they alter it for everybody else. So there's people that serve, like just the other day I saw this video of this officer in Ohio somewhere that there was a 911 call about a screaming infant in a grocery store. I mean, that must be pretty fucking bad for, you know, somebody to call the cops about that. But there was a screaming infant in a store, and it was a mother that was, the father had abandoned him, and she was begging for somebody to get formula for her child, and the cop went out of his way, bought formula for the child to make sure that it was fed and followed up with it. There's that side. And then there's these goons, like with Sonya Massey and all these other um, completely needless shootings that happen, um, that fuck it up for everybody else, and it's a shame. Um, that family will never be the same. I'm not sure if she had, you know, children or whatever, but the mother, the grandmother, the brother, the sister, whoever it may be, they lost a family member because somebody was on a power trip and did not have the discipline with that weapon. And honestly, I think it's like when I was in the military, they told me, do not point your weapon at anything you do not intend to destroy. And from the time I was before I even went in the military, from the time I was a child, I was taught discipline with guns. To never, always keep it pointing at the ground, keep your finger off the trigger unless you're ready to pull it to your target. And I just believe that there's some reforming needed. Not defund the police. In fact, you need more funding to make sure that it's a more egregious, it's not really the right terminology, more strenuous process in order for these people to be hired and to be in these positions. And that starts with raising the wages, because it's not as easy to become a cop. More funding for training, more funding for classes and education, just to really instill it and sink it into these people's minds that you hold people's lives in the balance, all the way from a charge where somebody could be sentenced to probation. Obviously it's not as heavy as death, but you're altering the course of these people's lives, because they have to go deal with this shit, pay this money, go through these classes, deal with a probation officer, have his ankle bracelet. I mean, I've witnessed it firsthand throughout my whole life about how this can affect people. And some people just get caught in a bad situation, and they suffer for it. And it's really unfortunate. But I found a video. It had been brought up, okay, to me, presented to me, that, and I'm not saying that it's true. Do I believe in malevolent spirits? Yes. Do I believe in demonic possession? Yes. I'm not saying this cop was demonically possessed. Is it an excuse? No, in my eyes. But I'm just saying, I think it was a pretty interesting take, and I kind of dug into this rabbit hole about Sonya Massey, and I think it should be spread about her situation, because I saw the camera footage that was released by the actual department in Illinois. Illinois or Iowa, one of the two, the state, anyway, it doesn't matter. The body cam footage of the other officer that was present on the scene, she had a pot of water on the stove, and the cop said, the only thing that was on this video that I saw, it's the only video that I saw, body cam footage, but he said, if you don't turn that burner off, I will shoot you in the fucking face. And then she like shuffles the pot or something, and she's like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, and he pulls his pistol up and shoots her 3 times. It's inexcusable. I don't give a fuck if it's boiling water. I don't care if she's threatening to throw boiling water on you. That's not, you can get wound care, bro. I'm not saying if she pointed a pistol at you, that'd be a totally different story, but she didn't. And you took her life for it. And honestly, I think it's shameful. But anyway, this is a video that I found, credit to Isaiah Saldivar. It's a pretty interesting take about how I haven't scoped this video. I haven't watched this video all the way through, but it says, police officer manifests a demon. Sonya Massey body cam breakdown. And this guy is allegedly an exorcist and within the Christian faith, and he breaks down this video. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but it's 16 minutes of him saying, like, this guy was possessed, and this is what promoted him to do the shooting. Anyway, here it goes.
Talk about the tragic killing of Sonya Massey. This recently happened. She called the police to come check for a prowler on her property. When they arrived, they ended up tragically taking her life. So I want to talk about this. Usually I wouldn't do a story or cover something like this, but because there's a spiritual component, I want to break it down as a pastor, as an exorcist. I cast out demons. I believe in the power of the Holy Spirit. I believe in the casting out of demons. And so this 1,000% was a demonic manifestation. This man was being controlled by a demonic spirit in so many ways. And so I'm going to show you that in the video and point out some stuff that I haven't heard anyone talk about. I want to say before I go into this video, I absolutely support law enforcement. My mom is a retired officer. My stepdad's a lieutenant. I was going to school and getting hired as a deputy whenever I got saved. I have best friends that are officers, so this is not to slander or to badmouth law enforcement. I believe God ordains law enforcement, and we need it. That's not to say there is ungodly law enforcement and there is an abuse of power. In this case, this officer was 1,000% in the wrong. But I don't want you taking this as me bashing law enforcement, because I love law enforcement. I
like
appreciate
that.
it. I pray for those in law enforcement. I have a college degree in administration of justice, because before I got saved, I was going through the process of becoming a deputy. So I do have a college degree in law enforcement. And again, this This is not to bash law enforcement. I just want to point out that this was a spiritual event. This was not necessarily political. This was spiritual. Some people are saying it was racism. I don't fully know. I'm only going to come from the direction of the spiritual realm and show you how this was a demonic manifestation here that took place. So viewer discretion is advised. I'm going to do my best to skip the part where he actually shoots her, so you don't have to see that. It is all blurred out anyway. But I want to say viewer discretion is advised. I'm going to do my best to skip that part. But there will be a lot of cursing because this is the raw body cam footage, unedited. So just, again, viewer discretion is advised. There will be a lot of cursing and potentially the part where he actually tragically takes her life. So let's watch this, and I'll give you my take as a pastor, as a spiritual leader here.
I got some paperwork. Can you grab that Bible, please?
Yeah. Hey, I just need your name so we can get. And I want you to notice, first of all, he's super cordial, super nice with her. Everything's going good. She asked him to grab the Bible. He's asking for paperwork and her ID, which I know a lot of people in the comments were saying they're police officers. They don't know why that they need her ID, but that's here nor there. You're just everything's cordial.
Was there any damage previous to your car?
Previous, yeah.
Okay, what was the damage?
A dent, I believe.
Well, what about windows?
Oh, that, it was something that happened earlier.
Okay, perfect.
Very
What is your
cordial,
last
very
name?
cordial. He's being nice, she's being nice. The officer filming. The officer that took her life is the guy talking to her. He wasn't filming until after the incident, so we're looking at the perspective of the second deputy. Let's skip a little bit
I'm
here.
gonna show y'all my paperwork.
One task at a time here.
Okay. Let me
Here, grab your ID for me.
Okay.
Something very important is about to happen. I want you to pay attention here.
Your ID. One task at a time. So let's do an ID, and then you can dig around for your paperwork.
I don't know where my ID
You
is.
have stack right there, maybe?
Okay, I want you to notice what happens here. Okay, just hold on.
Alright,
You
yeah.
have stack right there, maybe?
Turn up the volume a little bit so you guys can hear it.
So he points. I want you to notice what happened there. He points to the stove. You see there's a pot on the stove of boiling water. She's probably making noodles or something. Who knows? He points, and you can't hear it because he mumbles, and the subtitles are just auto subtitles, and says, "Go check on the fire. Go get that. Get it off the stove." Okay? So he tells her she did not go get the pot. For those that were saying she got the pot and did this, she did not get the pot. He told her to go do it. He told.
Meet your next pillow. Why do we make our pillow in the shape of a cube?
Fucking
I'll tell you.
ads.
The problem with
Hate them.
he told her to go do it. And I didn't show, but earlier in the video, she said, "You guys aren't going to hurt me, are you?" Which is, and he's like, "Why would we hurt you?" Which is so sad. But he tells her, "Now go get the pot," and now watch what happens.
We don't need a fire while we're here.
We don't need a fire. Okay. She said, "I'm going to put it in the sink." She says, "I'm going to put it in the sink." There she has the pot now. Her pot holder's red. Pay attention here. He starts laughing. They both start laughing. And I'm going to point something out later that you probably never heard before, and you might not believe me, but it's okay. I'm going to point something out interesting. But he starts laughing there, which is just weird. Why?
Steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
So he implies, "I'm going away from your hot steaming water," implying that she's going to throw it on him. She has no intentions of throwing it on him. She's literally taking it to the sink, not even looking at him. He starts laughing and says, "I'm getting away from your water," implying that she's going to throw the water on him, which why would you even suggest that? It's so bizarre.
I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Now, he says, "I'm getting away from your water," so implying she's going to throw it on him. She says, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." In other words, I rebuke you for assuming that I'm going to throw this hot water on you like I'm going to hurt you. That's why she said that. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Also, I'm sure she sensed something. She probably sensed the demonic spirit on this guy. And this guy, when he walked in, she's like, "You're not going to hurt me, are you?" He's like, "Why would we hurt you? You call."
I'm just wanted to say something. It's kind of strange in this interaction how before any of this transpired, before they're like, "Yeah, we need your ID," she said, "Okay, can you grab my Bible?" And that's what I was going to say. I'm gonna end the video right there. You guys can go watch it. Like I said, Isaiah Saldivar says police officer manifests demon. Sonia Massey body cam breakdown. You guys can go watch it if you want to. I think it's important. Like I said before, the eyes don't lie, Chico. And whenever you meet somebody, even if you don't shake their hand and you do meet somebody, you can sense that energy, that presence off of those people. And that may sound like some hippie shit, but it's true. I have a sense for it. I know several other people, including my wife, that have a sense for it. That like, something's not right with that person. And I think it's crazy how before any of this interaction went down, she asked him for the Bible. And then she rebuked, which you don't normally, I mean, maybe some people do, but you don't normally rebuke a statement in the name of Jesus from just somebody saying something like throwing a pot of water. You know, that's a pretty powerful statement. Using the name of Christ to rebuke something. But anyway, aside from that atrocity, you know, back to the Olympics, on top of the mocking of Christ in the opening ceremony, which it's not coincidental for the people that say that it's, you know, a Greek ethos, a Greek origin of what they did. It's not coincidental. The setup and the positioning of the people, the way they did it, and the actor that was in the center of it said, well, gotta go be the Olympic Jesus right before she went out on the stage. It's not coincidental. And like I said, ESPN came out with a statement afterward apologizing for it. So I mean, you can look that up if they haven't deleted it yet, which they do that shit a lot. They get called out on their shit, people are outraged by it, and then they, you know, go and change it up or delete things. But the most atrocious one to me is in men's beach volleyball, which I've never watched a day in my fucking life. But it was pointed out by a friend of mine. I noticed it on my feed how a Dutch athlete by the name of Steven van de Velde is a convicted child rapist. He raped a 12-year-old girl and is allowed to compete in the Olympics. So if it's not enough for you for Christ to be mocked, if it's not enough for you for a woman to be beat on a national scale, is it enough for you to not watch the Olympics because they endorse and let a convicted child rapist compete? I only saw one picture of the guy. I try not to center myself or really consume a lot of this kind of information. But I did see a picture of him and one of his at the Olympics, and on his shirt was a Mizuno logo. And Mizuno has athletic wear, and I know that they're a big club brand, and I could tell you that that's something that I will never ever use again. Anything Mizuno product, and also will never watch the Olympics again. And I'm not saying that like from the, you know, redneck perspective, like, oh, you know, on their boycott, you know, like, because it's a blue left wing company, I'm boycotting it. I don't care, man. Like, if you went through the list, like that big shit going on about how the CEO or VP of Netflix, whatever the fuck his name is donated a large sum to Kamala Harris's campaign, how people are boycotting it and canceled their Netflix subscription. If you did that and went down the list of all the companies all the way to General Mills from your cereal brand, you wouldn't have much of nothing. If you canceled and boycotted all of that stuff, which, I mean, if that's what you want to do, go ahead and float your boat. But to me, I know it's hard for some people to do, but I try to separate my people's political perspectives from them. One thing I don't separate is people's morals from them. Sometimes politics and morals coincide depending on the topic that you speak about. However, people's politics are not them. And I do promote acceptance of other people. This is a country, a free country, as much shambles as it might be in right now. I love this country, and I think it's important to unite. And there has been life, limb, and blood and tears shed to keep it that way. So, to me, I say this is a free country. Do what you want to do. But when it comes to the realm of morals, I will not compromise. Thank you guys for tuning in. And this has been another episode of Kicked in the Ass Podcast. I'll be coming out with a new episode every week. And I look forward to joining you guys again.